Hello everyone, I'm Andy.
And I'm Richard, the tub of lard, standing in for Mark.
He is not Mark. As we know, Mark is now in the south of France, drinking Pimm's on his friend's bed, probably. I hope he doesn't watch this.
One would hope so.
However, I do know that he will listen because he wants us to be awful.
Of course he does.
He's very protective. He's very protective of his co-host status. Anyway,
Mark,
I hope he's having a good time.
A marvellous time. Yes.
Yes, a wonderful time with Tiffin by the sea in the south of France, with Nanny standing by in case of emergency to fan him if it's too hot.
Well, Nanny, I mean, one would
anyway,
have
what's going on?
Upgraded her to a Thai bride or something by now.
You can't upgrade a nanny. If they've been in the family for generations, man. I mean, she's probably a good 98 years old by now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those were the days. Anyway, what's going on in the world? This is how we start this episode.
Well, I was just having a flick through the news and I see the Stig is suing the BBC. He and Freddie Flintoff had a massive crash about 3-4 years ago.
Yes, I remember it.
When they were told to drive a 3-wheel Morgan, which apparently was guaranteed not to tip as long as it wasn't going in reverse. And they were told to do it wearing flat caps and comedy goggles and no crash helmets.
Oh, and this is why Freddie Flintoff is still basically a walk-in corpse today.
Yes, but he did successfully sue the BBC for 120 million. And now the Stig is suing them. So he's not the Stig anymore, because we know what he looks like and we know his name now.
Well, it could well be an imposter because nobody actually knows who the Stig is or what he looks like. So it could be just some guy trying his luck.
Well, one would hope the BBC knows who the Stig was. But the other thing that caught my eye, which is very worrying, is this guy Hesketh, a part of Donald Trump's
Fuck me,
regime.
he is mental.
Yes. Well, he is now laying into army chaplains. Apparently, he feels that army chaplains should only represent his idea of Christianity.
But he believes that the speech that... Oh my God, what's his name? From Pulp Fiction, Samuel
L. Jackson,
Samuel L. Jackson. He believes that his speech that he gave, yea, though I walk through the shadow of the valley of... He believes that was a direct quote from the Bible because he actually used it word for word when he was giving a pep talk to the troops. He's a fucking idiot.
He's not the only one. I've seen that repeated online on the internet, and there was a whole thing about it. It's like, people check the Bible. This is not the version in the Bible.
No,
a lot of people
this is Hollywood bitch.
A lot of people think that is the biblical quote, but they're idiots.
Unbelievable.
But so he's reduced. They had 200 recognised faiths in the US military, but now they only have 31. So I don't know which recognised faiths he's got rid of.
I couldn't even name 31.
No, let alone 200.
Honestly.
I mean, seriously. But then I don't know if that 200 is denominations, because obviously Christianity is now split into fuck knows how many hundreds of different denominations.
Splitters. We are the Judean People's Front. Nope. We're the People's Front of Judea.
Popular People's Front of Judea. Thank you very much. It's... The chaplains are worried because they're thinking, well, if this guy carries on like this, then it's not good for anybody. Because he's trying to force a brand of Christianity on a lot of people that they're not comfortable with. Because I was reading a thing the other day, and they're actively campaigning in America now. And it's when I say campaigning, they're doing it through social media and all of that. But they're trying to rebrand Jesus Christ as somebody who likes guns.
Well, you know, he was the greatest American that ever lived.
I remember seeing a poster years ago. It was like a cartoon Jesus, big ass poster, cartoon Jesus brandishing an automatic rifle. But whoever drew it, fucking muppet. So you've got Jesus Christ and this all-American poster brandishing an AK.
Yeah, a Russian rifle.
Yeah, which tells you a lot about your average American.
Yep, best American rifle ever made, the Kalashnikov.
Yes. So
I need to grab something from the kitchen. Talk amongst yourself. I'll be back in 3.5 seconds.
Three, and we'll count. 1, 2, 3. I can't believe the camera's followed into the kitchen. 5, 6. You're a liar, Andy. 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, no, absolute fibs. 3.5 seconds, my ass. And here we go. Will it follow? No, it doesn't follow him back. Camera.
See, that's the beauty of recording live, as it were. You can be put on the spot.
That was at least 12 seconds. But
Yeah,
the camera
I thought
the camera
follow
followed you to the kitchen. Yes, it didn't follow you back, but it followed you to the kitchen. Which did make me laugh.
A very clever camera.
Yes. So what have you got for us in your regular Harry and Meghan spot this week then?
I haven't actually got anything on Harry and Meghan. They've been basically ignored by the media, which is a good thing. But we normally do a Today in History spot as well. So today in history, July the 23rd, in the year of 1536, Henry VIII's illegitimate son died.
Oh, okay. Which
Henry
one?
Fitzroy. He was the illegitimate son of Henry, and his mother was Elizabeth Blount, who was a lady in waiting to Catherine of Aragon. So he was doing his wife's maid, basically.
I'm sure he had a lot more bastards than we're aware of.
Oh, God, yeah. He was openly acknowledged by his father because he was desperate for a son, as we know, which is why he kept marrying. And he may have even legitimised Fitzroy as his heir if he hadn't died so young. He was only 17 when he died.
Right. But Fitz in those days actually meant bastard. That's why you got it stuck in front of your name so that everybody knew.
Yes, but nowadays everybody would be called Fitz. I mean, the marriage is out the window, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. And we live in a different
happen.
world, don't we? Because obviously everybody just calls you bastard.
Yeah, or unless you're Scottish, where it's cunt.
Yes.
You're either wee cunt, that cunt over there, big cunt.
I was listening to a Blind Boy podcast the other day, and it was one of his live ones, and he was talking to this guy called Carl Chin, who's from Birmingham way, and he's a professor of the history of the English working classes. And Blind Boy used the word cunt, and Carl Chin said, "Look, didn't we talk about this last time I was on your show? I really don't like that word."
Well, don't be such a fucking pious cunt.
Well, he was saying that in the Midlands, it is still deemed a really, really nasty word to say, and generally is not used. Whereas Blind Boy was explaining that in Ireland, it's not used in the same way. He said,
it's a term of endearment.
Yeah, he said, my mother regularly calls me a gas cunt, which means that I was funny.
Yeah.
He said, so, it was interesting how one area still deems it really offensive. Well, an entire
in this day and age, you're not allowed to be offended by someone's colloquialisms because then you're oppressing their natural language.
Well, that's half the people. The other half of the people are oppressing you for using that language.
Exactly.
I mean, it has to be said, I tend to keep that word for when I'm really angry or when somebody is truly awful.
I use it in the Scottish vernacular. I will use it at every given opportunity. I don't care. The word has no power for me, you know. I don't fear it. It's just a word.
I suppose for me, being Welsh, because Welsh lacks any really juicy swear words. They're all mostly biblical. But it's the sound of words. Like to call a woman a witch in Welsh, you call her a gwrach. And you can spit that word at somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, the Welsh word for cunt actually is quite good as well, because that's fwrch, which is another one that can be really spat at somebody.
I like witch as a general term of endearment.
Yeah.
All right, you old witch. And hag is another one of my favourites.
And here we have people. Andy's 101 in why he's single.
Now you sound exactly like Mark. Anyway, back to today. In 1903, Ford sold its first ever car.
Oh, did they now?
Yeah, it was a Model A.
Nobody dies in this one, do they? I've forgotten that nobody dies.
No. And they actually had an investment total of $28,000. And they'd almost run out of cash by the time they produced their first car.
That's a lot
But they
of money,
managed to turn a profit by October of the same year.
Wow, well done.
Which is quite incredible.
That's probably the only time they have. I do believe they've been running more or less in debt, certainly since the...
Well, everyone in the US is trillions in debt, apparently. In 2011, you'll remember this, Amy Winehouse died.
Oh, God, yes. Yeah, indeed.
It was that long ago, 15 years ago.
15 years, fuck.
I mean, she was barely 15 years old, for God's sake.
Yes. No, I mean, hell of a voice, and I did feel sorry for her. She was used and abused.
I felt
by
sorry
every
for her,
fucker
but
around
it
her.
felt like she was digging her own holes all the time.
Yeah.
Hanging around with that fucking junkie, Pete, what's his name, Doherty.
Doherty, yeah. Yeah,
And the other
indeed.
guy that she married was also Blake something. He was another one.
Yes, double barrel name.
She just could not keep away from the wrong uns.
No, indeed. But then her father was a wrong un, wasn't he?
Her father was the pimp of wrong uns.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I did feel sorry for the poor girl.
Yeah, it is a shame. She was very talented. But unfortunately, that's life. Anyway, back to our friends in America. In 1967, the Detroit riots began, and they began in Detroit, funnily enough, in Michigan. And they were triggered by an early morning police raid and exacerbated by racial tensions and the worsening economy. The riots went on for 5 days. And by the time the US Army and the National Guard quelled the riots, some 43 people had been killed, whilst 1,400 buildings had been burned or looted.
Yeah, that was a mad one, wasn't it? Can't remember
Yeah.
what started it.
It was triggered by a police raid,
Right.
obviously in a black community, because Detroit, and the community just didn't like the fact that they were raiding people at 5 o'clock in the morning just because they were black.
Yes. Funny enough, I was reading yesterday about basically the invention or the popularisation of hip-hop. So it was in New York in the 70s, and New York was in a hell of a state in the 70s. And lightning bolt hit a power transformer and plunged large amounts of New York into darkness. Now, you already had house parties happening, because nobody could afford to go out clubbing. But there was only like a couple of DJs because most people couldn't afford the equipment. So during this riot, this blackout, loads and loads of people went out looting, obviously, as they do.
And suddenly there were 100,000 new DJs.
Absolutely. They went out and looted decks and amps and speakers. And from that one night, hip-hop became immensely popular. And, well, you know the history from there.
Yep. Thankfully, it's not dominating every aspect of your life the way it used to. I mean, hip-hop was fine and all, but we're 25 years on. You know, it's time to maybe try a different beat.
Well, you know, it's still the best.
I mean, punk didn't last very long, and that was fabulous.
yes.
New Romantic lasted 10 minutes, and that was also fabulous in its time.
You see,
But it was of its time.
problem with New Romantics was once they'd finished or had bought all the old clothes from the charity shops, nobody else could become a New Romantic after that.
No, and now then of course they all had to become goths, which wasn't quite the same thing.
Well, dark new romantics, old romantics.
Yeah, I do like a goth. I do like goth chicks, I have to say. Something about the black lipstick and the black nail varnish does it for me.
Yeah, it's a good look. Definitely.
I've definitely got a soft spot for a goth.
Without a
But then I've
doubt.
got a soft spot for the blonde ponytail and a soft spot for something. It's like, basically, if it's female and warm and breathing, I've got a soft spot somewhere for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nowadays, it's not just a soft spot.
No.
Nowadays, it's soft all over.
Age is a bastard.
And then you die.
Yes.
Anyway, shall we get on with the business of the day?
Yes, what are you going to talk to me about?
I'm going to take us to Australia, and there's a little town. Well, it's more a community, basically. And it's a place called Centralia.
Sort of like Central and Australia combined.
Well, it gets worse because it's in... Centralia is in Pennsylvania, and it once boasted 14 active coal mines and about 2,500 residents in the early 20th century. But by the 1960s, its boomtown heyday had passed, of course, and most of its mines were abandoned. But still, over 1,000 people called it home, and Centralia was far from dying until a coal mine fire began below. In 1962, a fire started in a landfill, and it spread into the pretty much labyrinthine coal tunnels that miners had dug thousands of feet below the surface. Mm-hmm. And despite repeated attempts to extinguish the flames, the fire caught on a coal seam, and it still burns to this day, 60 years later.
Still going. Bloody hell.
In the 1980s, Pennsylvania ordered everyone out so they could raise the town's buildings, and the federal government even revoked its zip code. So only 6 homes remain, occupied by the town's final holdouts. I don't know what they're doing there.
Fuck knows.
And can you imagine the pollution?
Oh, the pollution, the heat.
I mean in Australia, it's hot anyway.
Yeah. But that, I mean, the heat coming off that, as if it's that big an area and it's still burning, that's going to be affecting the local climate.
Well, the fire that burns beneath the surface continues to pour a spew poisonous smoke into the air through hundreds of fissures, whilst the ground below, of course, is in danger constantly of collapse. Mm-hmm. So, in May of 1962, where it all began, the town council of Centralia, Pennsylvania, met to discuss a new landfill. So this is, what can we do to fuck up the entire town? Earlier in the year, Centralia had built a 50-foot deep pit that covered an area about the size of a football field to deal with the town's problem of illegal dumping. However, the landfill was getting full and it needed clearing before the town's annual Memorial Day celebration. And at the meeting, council members proposed a seemingly obvious solution: burn it. Burn out the landfill. This is an arsonist's dream.
Oh, yeah.
At first,
this
of course, it seemed to work.
1962, you said?
1962, yeah.
Yeah, still the answer to most things in 62. Burn it.
Yeah. At first, it seemed to work. The fire department lined the pit with an incombustible material to contain the fire, which they then lit on the night of May the 27th, 1962.
Hang on, wouldn't that mean that they had to take everything out of the pit, line it, and then put it all back in?
No, I think they lined the top and the surrounding area more than anything else so that it wouldn't spread from the hole.
Yes, yeah.
So at first it seemed to work anyway, but after a couple of days, when the landfill contents were ash, they doused the remaining embers with water. However, 2 days later, residents again saw flames. And then again, a week later, on June the 4th, Centralia firefighters were baffled as to where the recurring fire was coming from. They used bulldozers and rakes to stir up the remains of the burned garbage and try and locate where these concealed flames were coming from. And finally, they discovered the cause. At the bottom of Centralia's trash pit, next to the north wall, was a hole 15 feet wide and several feet deep, and waste had managed to conceal itself in the gap, which as a result had not been filled with fire retardant material. And the hole provided a direct pathway to the labyrinth of old coal mines over which Centralia was built.
And clearly, in a town of 2,500 coal miners, it never occurred to any of them that coal burns.
I don't know what sort of health and safety they had in those days, but clearly
None.
None. Soon, residents began complaining of foul odours entering their homes and their businesses, and they noted wisps of smoke coming out of the ground from around the landfill. That'll be the fire, mate. The town council brought in a mine inspector to check the smoke, who confirmed, yep, that's smoke. Think you got a fire there, mate? That'll be $50. Probably wasn't quite like that, but not far off. Anyway, he determined that the levels of carbon monoxide in them were indeed indicative of a fire. So I was quite right.
Yes.
I jest, but I told the truth. They then sent a letter to the Lehigh Valley Coal Company stating that, and get this, talk about shifting responsibility, a fire of unknown origin was burning in their town. I'm not 100% sure about what happened here, mate, but some galah has started a fire. So the council, the LVCC, and the Susquehanna Coal Company, which owned the coal mine in which the fire was now burning, all met to discuss ending the fire as quickly and as cost-effectively as possible. But before they could reach a decision, censors, and I'm guessing by censors they mean locals' noses, because in 1962, I'm not imagining they had, apart from canaries, what other sensors would you have in a coal mine?
Not a lot.
But anyway, they obviously had CO2 detectors because they detected lethal levels of carbon monoxide seeping from the mine, and all of the Centralia area mines were immediately shut down.
So I, in my head, am now imagining that the way they're going to deal with this is that every single person in the town, being Australian, are going to go out on a massive bender, drink as much beer as they can, hold it in as long as they can, and then they all go and find a fissure and take a massive leak.
Yeah, keep them cans of Foster's coming, mate. Mm-hmm. So the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania tried to stop the spreading of the Centralia fire several times, but all attempts were unsuccessful. The first project involved excavating beneath Centralia, and authorities planned to dig out the trenches to expose the flames so they could extinguish them. However, the plan's architects underestimated the amount of earth that would need to be excavated by more than half, and they eventually ran out of funding.
Oh, good God.
The second plan, I'm hoping this was a freebie, involved flushing out the fire by using a mixture of crushed rock and water. But uncommonly low temperatures at the time caused the water lines to freeze, as well as the stone grinding machine.
That's not something you expect in Australia, is it?
No,
Frozen water.
The word freeze is like alien to them.
Yes.
The company also worried that the amount of mixture they possessed wouldn't even completely fill the warren of mines. So they elected to fill them only halfway, leaving plenty of room for the flames to move. Eventually,
What's the point of that?
well, they had no choice. They had no more. They had no more material.
But yeah.
So eventually, this project also ran out of funding after going almost $20,000 over budget. And by then, the fire had spread a further 700 feet. But it didn't stop people just going about their daily lives, living above the hot, smoky ground. The town population was still about 1,000 by the 1980s, 20 years after the fire started. And residents enjoyed growing tomatoes in the midwinter and not having to shovel their sidewalks when it snowed because they had underground heating.
Where the hell in Australia is Pennsylvania?
I'm guessing it's probably not Central Australia after all.
No, it can't be. I'm going to have a look because, yeah, again, snow is not another word you associate with Australia.
But I mean, it would be nice to sort of look out the window and say, oh, it's snowing, I'll have to shovel the stuff. I forgot we're living on top of basically a volcano.
Yeah.
In 2006, a chap called Lamar Mervyn, who was then, get this, Trump would love him, 90-year-old mayor of Centralia, he said people learned to live with it. We'd had other fires before and they'd always burned out. This one bloody well didn't.
Yeah, well, no, clearly not.
20 years after the fire started, however, Centralia began to feel the effects of its eternal flame underground. Residents began passing out in their homes from carbon monoxide poisoning. The trees began to die, and the ground turned to ash. Roads and sidewalks began to buckle. The real turning point became actually on Pennsylvania. Just look for Pennsylvania, Australia.
Yeah, that's what I put in, and it keeps showing in Pennsylvania in the USA.
The real turning point,
Pennsylvania Avenue in Queensland, but
yeah, because Google is American, for God's sake. You're never going to find anything that's outside America on Google. The real turning point came on Valentine's Day in 1981 when a sinkhole opened up underneath 12-year-old Todd Domboski's feet.
Oh, shit.
The ground was searing and, yeah, poor Todd. The ground was searing hot and the sinkhole was 150 feet deep. But
he didn't survive.
He survived. Did Todd? He did. He survived because he was able to grab hold of an exposed tree root before his cousin arrived to pull him out. You can imagine he arrived because Skippy went off to fetch him.
Obviously. Yep.
What's that, Skip? Cousin fell down a sinkhole.
So
in 1983.
Kangaroos, I saw the other day that Volkswagen now they've turned the badge at the front of their cars into a speaker, and it gives out a particular noise that freaks out kangaroos. So it makes them run away before they run out in the middle of the road and you crash into them. But it's cleverer than that.
That's kind of a good idea. That's kind of a good idea.
It's cleverer than that because there are, I think, 4 or 5 different types of kangaroos in Australia and they all respond to a different frequency of this signal. So this thing has got built into it some kind of GPS, so it knows which area it's in and which kangaroos it's most likely to come across and gives out the appropriate signal.
Excellent.
Yes.
Finally, we're using technology for good rather than evil.
Keeping kangaroos alive.
That's good news.
Yes.
Anyway, by 1983, Pennsylvania had spent more than $7 million trying to put out this fire without success, and a child had almost died. So it was time to abandon the town. That year, the federal government appropriated $42 million to purchase Centralia. I don't know who from. Probably the remaining residents. But that $1,000, that's only like $4,200 each. Yeah. Oh, mind you, that was 1983. I guess a wooden shack in the middle of Pennsylvania wasn't worth that much.
Did they not get Red Adair in for this?
Oh, I don't know, no, because he's American, isn't he? So
Well, he is, and I know his speciality was oil well fires. But,
yeah.
I thought that was a great movie when I saw it as a kid. That you use an explosion to put out an oil well fire.
American propaganda, I'm afraid.
Yeah, probably. It was John Wayne, after all.
Here comes Red Adair. Yeah, so they paid 42 mil to purchase the place. They demolished the buildings and relocated the residents. But not everyone, of course, wanted to leave. You always got those crotchety old gits who refuse.
Yep.
And for the next 10 years, legal battles and personal arguments between neighbours became the norm. So that's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's only like 10 of you left. You all hate each other, but you all refuse to leave.
See, now, if that happened, you would have a film crew down there and they would turn it into a reality TV program.
Yes, and you would then be referred to as a star in the sun.
Yes.
Brilliant. So the local newspaper even published a weekly list of who was leaving because it was such an event. Finally, Pennsylvania invoked eminent domain in 1993, by which point only 63 residents remained, and officially they became squatters in houses that they had owned for decades. See, maybe I would have been one of those crotchety old fucks as well.
I can see you doing that, yes.
Definitely, just out of
Pure
fucking
bloody
stubbornness.
mindedness, yes.
Yeah. Even so, that still didn't put an end to the town, because it still had a council and a mayor, and it paid its bills. And over the next 2 decades, residents fought really hard to stay legally. In 2003, the remaining residents, now fewer than 10, won a settlement against the state, and each of them was awarded $349,600 and ownership of their properties until they died. At which point...
They've got enough money to go and buy a nice house somewhere else.
Yeah, but, you know, you've been here this long, but they can live for free where they are. But then, until they die. But then when you die, you're not going to be able to spend your $350k anyway.
No, and considering the atmosphere that they're breathing in, they're not going
You're
to
gonna
live
die
for more than a fucking couple of years.
Well, having said that, they've been there for 60 years in that atmosphere already.
Yes.
So at which point, when they die, Pennsylvania can seize the land and finally demolish what structures remain. Ex-Mayor Mervyn recalled choosing to stay with his wife, even when offered the bailout. I remember when the state came and they said they wanted our house, he said. She took one look at that man and said, they ain't getting it. I want to marry her myself.
Yeah, but I imagine that's what she says to her husband on a regular basis.
Yeah, you ain't getting it. Anyway, this is the only home I've ever owned and I want to keep it.
Lunatics.
So Melvin died at 2010 at the age of 93. Still illegally squatting in the home he'd known all his life, basically. And it was the last remaining building on what was once a 3-block long stretch of row houses. So it was quite a community. Now, fewer than 5 people still live there, and experts estimate that there is enough coal underneath Centralia to fuel the fire for the next 250 years.
Bloody hell.
But the story and the infrastructure of the town has provided its own kind of fuel for creative endeavours. The real Silent Hill town that inspired the horror film in 2006 is, in fact, the abandoned Pennsylvania town. Although there is no real Silent Hill town, the movie used their setting and what happened to Centralia as part of its plot.
Oh, okay.
And the abandoned Route 61 that leads into the town centre was also given new life for many years. Artists transformed this 3/4 mile stretch into a local roadside attraction known as the Graffiti Highway.
What?
I'm looking at a picture of it. It basically looks like a paint truck had an accident with a paint truck. It looks absolutely awful. But anyway, I'm sure it was very
the road
artistic.
they drive down to go and like toast marshmallows over the world's biggest bonfire.
Well, I mean, basically, what happened was it's a bit like the Padlock Bridge in Venice.
Yeah.
Where people, you know, even while the pavement was cracking and smoke coming out, people came from all over the country to leave their mark. So they all came and added a tag to the road.
Yeah.
And by the time a private mining company purchased the land and filled in the road with dirt in 2020, almost the entire surface was covered by spray paint. So today, Centralia is better known as a tourist attraction for people looking to glimpse one of the plumes of noxious smoke that's still rising from beneath the earth. How would you sell that to your family? Do you know what? Got a great idea for holiday this year. We're going to go and look at some smoke. Oh, great, Dad. Can't fucking wait. Me mates are only going to Disneyland. They're going to be so jelly.
You could market it to Americans. They love that kind of thing. The world's biggest natural smoke plume. I mean, you know,
Yeah, but is it the world's biggest?
Well, I don't know. But, I mean, there's a town in America that has the world's biggest pencil.
Yes.
There's one that has the
I've
world's
seen the world's biggest ball
cotton
of
reel.
string. I've
Ball
seen
of
the world's
string.
biggest ball of string.
Yeah.
And I was so impressed and happy that I managed to fucking imprint that on my
Sure,
memory.
yes. I mean, you know, compared to the Valley of the Kings and the tombs of the pharaohs, fuck
Yes.
me, ball of string every time.
Anyway, the surrounding forest has crept back where the thriving Main Street used to be. So it's not necessarily all terrible. People have called it a ghost town, says resident John Komarinsky in 2008. People have called it a ghost town, but I look at it as a town that's now full of trees instead of people.
How philosophical.
John's
of
been
it.
at the fucking Fosters again, isn't he? Keep those tubes of Fosters coming. And the truth is, he hasn't finished. And the truth is, I'd rather have trees than people.
Well, yes.
John's a
everybody-
very miserable cunt.
Everybody stopped talking to John years ago.
God, John, you need to get out of there. Mind you, there's only 4 other people there, so... Can you imagine?
Yeah.
You've only got a choice of 4 people and one of them is John.
Yes.
Oh, fuck. Everyone else is busy gone fishing, mate. So I'm going to have to
imagine-
hang out with John. Damn
The
it.
conversation in the local pub. Smoky today, lads. Yes.
Yeah,
But the
John,
trees
do
are
you want to go
looking
for a
lovely.
beer? Do you want to go for a beer, John? I would, mate, but I'm out looking at trees. There's some great trees around here. Best trees in Australia. Anyway, that is the story of the Pennsylvania fire in one of the funniest towns in Australia.
But it's still
I mean,
burning
it's a
now.
bit, yeah, it's a bit of a disaster story, but it's also, you know, very highly amusing for its
Yes.
content, I have to say.
Yes. The fact that a town full of miners decided that having a massive bonfire above a bloody great big coal mine was a good idea.
Yeah. Well, health and safety has come along in leaps and bounds since then, and now we're not even allowed to take our children to the playground unless they are fully equipped with crash helmets and knee pads.
Yes.
And that's not even a joke.
No, but I think they should force them all to have baseball bats as well, and then they can just have at
Yeah.
each other.
That would be a proper game then.
Yes. The other day, so Monday, Tuesday in school was activities days.
Oh dear.
Well,
Was there any crocheting?
No, not crocheting. It may have been. I don't know. Some kids, they had choices to go to things like Aqua Park and the London Dungeons and all sorts of interesting trips. There was a daughter went on one to a hawk conservatory, so she got to see vultures and owls and eagles and stuff. But some kids chose to stay in school and do cookery.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'd be very proud of my child if they chose that, because kids today just do not cook. Even most
No,
adults
that's
I
true.
know don't cook.
No, I know.
And I mean, I went shopping this morning and I got myself a kilo of boneless pork, and I'm literally going to make a complete roast dinner.
Nice.
And usually I wouldn't do that just for me, but it will give me lunch tomorrow and probably dinner tomorrow as well.
No,
But I just miss having a roast once in a while.
yeah, no, I've always done that because, especially working bars in Soho, your diet can be fairly poor if you just end up having fucking takeaways all the time.
Yeah. Is it Kentucky or McDonald's today?
Well, I didn't actually touch McDonald's, but I might go for a Wendy when they had one. But on my 2 days off, I always used to make the effort to cook something nice. And it used to take me...
Wendy was smart because they came up with the square burger.
Square burger, yes.
So everyone wanted a square burger.
Absolutely.
Tastes like a round burger, looks like a round
Yeah.
burger,
But it's
smells
square.
like a round burger,
Yes.
but it's square. Yeah, I used to like Wendy's, actually. They had the best milkshakes, I think, out of all of them.
Can't remember.
But, I
big
mean,
one.
being a KFC addict,
Yeah.
Soho was ideal for me because there was like 3 KFCs within walking distance of most clubs.
See, my favourite, and it still is, because we found one nearby, Wimpy.
Oh, Wimpy. When I was a kid, we thought that was the poshest restaurant in the world because
Yeah.
we used to go there maybe 3 times a year with me dad.
Yeah.
We didn't realise that you could go in there every day.
But no, that wasn't done in those days, though. Fast food
No.
was a treat.
Yeah, Mum always cooking. Mum
Yeah.
always cooking.
Yeah. No, but then, it was comparable to the cost of food you bought in supermarkets and cooked yourself. Fast food was expensive in those days.
Yeah, I suppose comparable,
Yeah.
but then I mean now it's gone back the same way. Now it is expensive fast food again. Certainly in Sweden.
Yes. Well, that's because they've got everybody addicted to Deliveroo now, haven't they? I mean, I know
I've
people
never ever used any kind of delivery service for my food. That is just ridiculous.
We had neighbours here, they've moved now, and they were not short of a bob or two. Both of them are very, very well paid, but clearly just like junk food. There was days when Deliveroo would turn up, breakfast, lunch and dinner.
That's just fucking awful.
I know, it's fucking ridiculous. I find it very relaxing cooking. I mean, I usually do it with a beer or a glass of wine, a podcast or a bit of music, and I really, really do. I mean, people used to think I was mad that I would spend 2 hours cooking a meal that was going to take me 15 minutes to eat.
I don't mind cooking at all.
Now, cooking is part of the process. It is a very enjoyable part of the process, sometimes more enjoyable than the actual eating.
Yeah, although the problem with cooking and you're looking forward to it is you start to snack.
No, I don't. See,
I remember one
smell.
Christmas. I remember one Christmas. I took my daughter and one of my mates from Sweden and my daughter's friend. They were about 12 at the time, I guess. Over to London, stayed with my friend Jay, and we were planning the Christmas dinner. Jay was a bit of a lad, so he decided for Christmas we needed some snow. So anyway, in Christmas morning, I've started cooking. 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm doing the Christmas dinner. So I've made me stuffing, stuffed the turkey, put the turkey in the oven, started peeling spuds, carrots, all the rest of it. And by about 11 o'clock, everything was in the oven and dinner would be ready for 3 o'clock, right? Jay says, should we have a cheeky line?
Yeah, for listeners who don't understand, snow is a slang term for cocaine, not real
So, of course,
snow.
I've said, don't be ridiculous. We'll lose our appetites. And the Christmas dinner I've just spent 6 hours preparing will be wasted. 30 minutes later, we're flying off our nuts, drinking rum and coke, going, what are we going to do about this fucking turkey? Anyway, when it came time for dinner, I'm so embarrassed about this, really. When it came time for dinner, Hannah and her friend sat down with a plate of turkey and all the trimmings, and they go, where's yours? Well, maybe we'll have something later. I'm not really hungry right now. Fucking hell, if social services ever found out. I hope nobody listens to this.
We used to do that all the time, though. People would go, "Oh, do you want to go out for dinner?" I'd be like, "Yeah, great," you know. So they'd be.
Let's just have a little livener first.
And in between the starter and the main course, which everybody's already ordered, everybody would go to the toilet, and then you would watch a table full of grown-up people pushing food around a plate for 10 minutes before finally just giving up.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. But anyway, there it is. Anyway, I think we've told enough secrets on this podcast for today. Thanks for listening, everyone. Join us again next week where Richard will still be here because Mark will be gallivanting around Monaco or somewhere, probably.
He'll probably be buying a new yacht by then, will he not?
He'll be on his second yacht because the first one ran out of petrol. Anyway, in the meantime, have yourselves a strange week. And if you're a coal miner, don't start a fire above your coal mine. And if you're in Australia, I apologise for my atrocious accent, but not really, because I find you lot some of the funniest people on earth. Well done, Australia. See you next week, same time, same place. And if you're a patron, and if not, why not? If you're a patron, we'll see you on Sunday as well for the afternoon show of Murdery Bits. In the meantime, bye for now.
Take care.